right, so that brings us to number 13 on our agenda, which is the superintendent's report. I will turn it over to Dr. Ross.
Thank you, Madam Chair, member of the school board, all our staff and community members. We have not added to the budget the unfunded position of Coach Emeritus, but if we do, we would put Coach Whipple in it. Again, we want to, as always, talk about our strategic plan guided by three critical questions. Why do we do this work? How do we accomplish this? And what are our outcomes? Our why is our vision that we love and grow our students. Our how is our mission that we're focused on academic, social, emotional growth and development. And our outcomes are our strategic plan. Our 4 goals, which now each have 6 strategies for school climate, teacher admin, quality, student achievement, and gifted and talented strategies. In terms of our work and our outcomes, I'm very proud to have attended last week our graduation ceremonies. Was just so proud to see all of our students walk across the stage, the speeches that they gave. I encourage Communications has put out a beautiful video highlighting the work of our students and the graduation, well put together. If you haven't seen it, it's on social media for your review. Just some highlights from class of 2024. We have over 1,200 graduates that cross the stage. So we have, of those, 107 are Palmetto Fellows, 869 Life or Hope recipients. 34 of them have committed already to serve in our nation's armed forces, with a total of $194 million in scholarships that are offered. So we're very proud of the class of 2024 and the work that we do each and every day to love and grow our students. As we look for towards next year, just wanted to make the board aware of some legislative policy updates that we're going to be grappling with for the next school year. The first one is the uniform procedures for selection and reconsideration of instructional materials. I'm just not going to read every bullet, but just know that this is scheduled to go in effect on June 25th. June 25th, that's 120 days after its introduction. So this puts guides on the instructional materials that will be in the classrooms. We are currently working and with our Chief of Academics, Martina McCaskill, as well as operations on programs to catalog the teacher libraries so that we can make this available to the public. Also, we're following the cell phone bill. This hasn't passed, but is still working its way through committee, looking at the 2 different versions of the House and the Senate that talks about the use of the cell phones throughout the day and its restrictions. So we're following that once we have that finalized. This is also going to be something that we're going to have to bring to this body in terms of policy updates. Want to draw your attention to the gender reassignment procedures. This has gone through, and want the board to know that our current policies, our current procedures that we have in place are in line with the House version or the current law that we have, 593236. So we will, again, we can update the board again on our procedures, but just want to make sure that everyone knows that parents are involved in this process with our school counselors. Also, going back, the Booster Club law. This puts some additional reporting requirements on our booster clubs and some requirements in terms of those who are handling the funds of the boosters. This will require our principals and those who work with our boosters to collect data from our booster clubs. So again, we're looking at our current policies and procedures to make sure that they're in line. We do collect information from our boosters already, so that's a current practice. We just want to make sure that we're fully aligned to this new Booster Club law. Also, in the student services, we have our process regarding student expulsions. Those cases are handled with our hearing officer and in student services. This creates additional practices that we would need to do in terms of notifying parents of their rights. We have this incorporated within our practice, so we're developing those procedures in conjunction with our attorneys. So these are just a few of the legislative updates that we see coming out of this assembly from the legislature that will impact us. As these finalize and we have whether model policies or examples, we like to bring to this body for full incorporation in policy. So that's our D5 story. We're excited. We're starting the summer. And as was said in our invocation here, that our students are out, but we are in summer mode with summer school, and our learning programs to help those students that need extra help. So we're constantly moving, and we're really excited about the growth of our students, and looking forward to all of our teachers and staff that are not on 240-day contract, getting that rest as we get ready for the next school year. So that concludes the superintendent's report, and I stand for any questions.
Dr. Ross, I have a question real quick on the Booster Club law. Where can the board get the information? You said that we have a policy right now that collects information from the Booster Club, but if the board, if the law is saying that you need to register with the Board of Trustees, where can we get that information? Are we gonna have to update our policy to include that language? And how will that be done?
Yes, ma'am. I started looking at policy KBE, and we will need to make some amendments to that policy. My thoughts at first were to start with maybe some sort of Google form to collect the data, and we would house it all in a spreadsheet that would be available to the board. But there are some decisions the board would need to make as far as what they want to do. There are some permissive parts in the law, and there are some requirements in the new law. So we will bring all that to you.
So from a timeline frame, because it says that we need to have this by August 1st, are we gonna put this on the agenda for the June 24th meeting? I don't believe that it's there yet, so.
Correct.
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure that we have we might not even have it approved by August 1st because of the amount of meetings. I know we have a meeting on the 24th, and then July 22nd, and then we start into August. So I just wanted to.
I think August the 1st may have its own set of challenges, because I don't know that all booster clubs have done their elections by then. I'm not sure what the time frame is, but we may have to get data from last year that would be updated if and when elections happen. So I think there's still some procedural things we need to determine.
Okay, I just wanted to put that to the forefront of the administration for, I saw Mr. Satterfield, and then I'll come to you. Mr. Satterfield.
Thank you. Dr. Ross, since you mentioned about the AP African American Studies, and I know that we've had a discussion about that in the past too, I was so moved by the folks from the alumni from Lex Rich High School and their presentation, and when they came, and I know there's been a lot of positive comments about that. So I'd like to make a motion. Is this the right time to do that? My motion would be that the district establish a committee to develop a curriculum to celebrate the rich history of Rich Lex High School. I would also like for the committee to involve alumni who attended the school and to allow these members to share with the students their experiences as students growing up during that time.
So, Mr. Satterfield, I appreciate your motion, but this part of the agenda is on a legislative policy update, and that is not, I don't believe that is germane to the agenda. I do think that it would be appropriate for you to send board officers an email to have that on a future meeting, but I don't believe that it is on this agenda as an appropriate. And that is by no means addressing the merits of your motion. It's just not on the agenda.
Well, I know that in the past, folks have brought up motions, just
Right.
brought them up.
I understand that.
So
and-
I didn't know the right time to do it, and that's
Right.
the reason I'm asking the question.
Right.
I do want to go about it in the right way. I just
Right.
felt I thought this was a great idea,
Okay,
so.
I don't disagree with that. I just don't think that that motion is germane to our agenda.
Okay.
And this part of our agenda.
So you'd rather me do that as,
So I would entertain you sending that to board officers for us to talk at a board officer meeting to put it on the agenda as an action item.
okay. I'll do that.
Sound good? All right. Appreciate you, Mr. Satterfield. All right. Any other conversation regarding this item? Ms. Huddle?
So I just want to make sure I understand it right. All of those passed except the cell phone bill, correct? Do all of them have an August 1st deadline, or do they have different deadlines?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I need to look.
The
Okay.
regulation is separate than the legislation. So the,
Right, but it still has a deadline,
It
and I
has-
don't think it had an August, so I guess.
it doesn't, it
Yeah,
has,
maybe you
it
guys
goes
could just
into
let us
effect
know.
in 120 days. So on
Okay.
June 25th, as long as it has not been removed, it is in effect. As far as I know from the state superintendent, because
Okay, I guess the reason why I was getting at this is kind of this same thing with the Booster Club is, do we need to look at all of these except the cell phone bill to see how they would affect our policies?
I think we do. I think what we're looking on is direction, right? We get these dates and I don't want to rush to do something that's ill-advised. So we were hoping we had model policy. You know, typically we get something that says, here's a model policy to look at. We don't necessarily have that for, so with the regulation, that was one that we were really looking at. Because if you look at with our KEC policy, that's very involved in terms of the forms and the process. So I was just a little worried of engaging in that conversation without any direction. So we can definitely bring them up for discussion, though.
Is the SCSBA, has anybody contacted them to see if they're working on model policy?
I did contact them, and they said that they would put them out later in I think it's late summer, early fall, when they generally come out, because I was specifically looking for the one on the booster, because I didn't want to recreate what was going to be created.
in April? August. It's in August, yeah. Dr. Ross was asking about the law conferences in August, so the beginning of August? Okay. I have a question about, and I don't know that you have this answer, Dr. Ross, but the regulation, the uniform procedures for selection or reconsideration of instructional materials. You mentioned that the district is looking at how to catalog individual classroom libraries, and it will be made available to the public. What does that mean? And how accessible to the public will that be?
So Follett, which is our system that we use in the library system now currently, they have added a section where we can add classroom libraries. Be separate from the library, from the Media Center library, but they'll be listed as Tina McCaskill's classroom library. And we can scan the ISBNs of the books, and it will create that classroom library. The teacher will be able to use it to check in, check out books with students as well. But we can put a link of that classroom library on websites. We can email it to parents, and it shows a display of books. It's got the title of the book. It's got information. If it's in their system, it'll give you information about like the reading level of the book, the intended audience of the book. It'll give you all of that information for the teacher. But the
Okay.
teacher will not have to manually enter. They can manually enter things if they want to, if they need to, but it really is a matter of just scanning the ISBN.
So when you say it'll be available on a website, like, do you mean it's only gonna be available on like the classroom website, Power School, or can the community look at, I mean, is there a space? Because I've heard a lot of, not necessarily in our district, but I've heard a lot of different conversations around the state where it's not so easy to find out what is in the schools, and so that causes chaos and confusion and misinformation sometimes. So, and there are different reasons why that happens. So I'm trying to see as we develop the intent of what this is, that, you know, we're not trying to hide anything, and that it's, we can see what's in our classrooms, and it, you know, you're not just trying to, I'm just asking that question, if that's something that we're considering as we develop a process.
So this would be something that if we chose to just put a link on the website, like we do to our Destiny, our library catalogs, anybody can go to that catalog and look at what books are in our libraries. These links would be the same type of links that we could choose to do.
Okay, all right. Ms. Barnhart?
Just following that up, would it be, you said that they would be scanned and put into, you know, Ms. McCaskill's library. Would it be continuously updated throughout the year, or would it be just kind of like a beginning of the year thing? And
What I've asked for a quote on is for the program itself for all schools and for 10 scanners per school, because, you know, you got to have scanners for the teachers to be able to use. And so there would be that expectation that as new books arrive, we would scan those and add those in. Of course, we have to give grace and time to do that, but certainly any new materials would be scanned and entered in.
Anybody else? All right. Anybody else for anything else on Dr. Ross's superintendent's report? I know we kind of just focused on the legislative part. All right, thank you, Dr. Ross.